Tonight on Podcast Them Down, Kirk and the gang talk Shakespeare and genocide.
Podcast Them Down. Welcome to Podcast Them Down. I'm Tim Regan from U.S. power metal band Burning Shadows, Fade to Black Metallica tribute, Dual-Violin folk metal band ISENMOR, and recently vacated Graves true zombie metal. Be sure to subscribe, like, or follow. And now, on with the show.
So, Tim usually does the pre-roll introduction, so I'll just step in here and say, today we have Tim and Doug, and they're going to talk about the Star Trek episode number 12, The Conscience of the King. So what's about...
I had a very long and awful day, and I think I'm going to take it out on a character of my choosing.
All right. Okay.
There will be several good choices.
You might say that you're going to let the strong survive and the weak perish, which in some situations is a unfortunate but necessary choice. Would you not agree?
I don't care. Should I start the episode now? Because I haven't watched it
okay,
yet.
so you start the episode.
Yeah, we can trick Tim into signing off on genocide.
Yeah. Okay, so let's begin as we always do. The teaser. This is a genuine teaser in this episode. It's incredible. I'm looking at your reaction while you're looking at it right now. Can you describe what you're seeing, Tim?
Looks like there's a Shakespearean type play, and he. It is a play. Oh, they're watching a play. And,
they're watching a play.
The dude has a bloody dagger. Well, his hand is bloody. I'm not sure the dagger's bloody, and he goes through a door and a half wall, and then this is how we should just do the whole show. And then, so he's dressed all like, Shakespearean era, I guess. And he's talking.
He has a penciled mustache.
Oh, yeah, I should describe these people. It's an old white dude with a beard, and, what the fuck is happening now? Is there two Kirks? What am I?
No. Okay, when you get to the starship, you got to pause.
All right.
So we open with the stabbing.
Yeah.
And then it's the scene in Macbeth with the person playing Macbeth, and he's killing King Duncan. And then we cut to the audience where we see Kirk sitting with an unknown person wearing an eye patch and dressed in future civilian clothes.
Yes, that is everything I was trying to say.
Yeah.
And this unknown person implores Kirk to watch and listen to Macbeth.
Yeah, but not in the sense that the play is so good. This person really wants Kirk to pay attention to the actor. To the actor who's playing Macbeth.
Then...
Weird, I didn't get any of that with it muted.
Yeah.
With this unknown person asserting that Macbeth is Kodos, the executioner. Fade to black.
Yeah, it's the quick teaser. You have no idea what's going on. And it's great. Who the fuck is this eye patch guy? Who the hell is Kodos, the executioner? Why are we watching a play? Where are we? None of this is explained. We just get this beautiful 2.5 minutes of insanity, and then we get the credits, the titles.
Yeah, is that future formal attire? Did they wear formal attire to the theater in the future?
It's not that big of an audience. It's only about 12 people. No one seems upset by the fact that the mystery man and Kirk are just talking throughout the play.
There's not a single close at Macbeth. Yeah,
there's not a single shh. You know, it's all just right up right up in there. I think we have to. I think there's just as this episode just starts. I think we just have to start scoring. It's just too fast paced for us to keep up with.
Yeah. All right, Tim, put us in the decision chamber.
I don't have.
Dang it.
There you go.
Shit. Okay, we're in the decision chamber now. I'll score first. It's depicted with the episode opens with a stabbing. It opens with the mystery. It's tight. There's nothing extraneous. For me, the both metal and quality are a full 10. This is a perfect teaser.
I'll go next.
Those are bold words, and I'm going to back them up.
Okay. With the number? Are you going to give them 10s as well?
Yeah, that's what he did.
All right. Let's see. They took something awesome like murder and made it boring as shit because he's just walking around bloody. Who gives a shit? And, you get to sit there quietly. I'm going to give it a 3 for both.
So your
that was
threes,
a pretty metal response. So if only we could grade Tim.
Your threes are basically because you hate live theater. All right. Okay. We're going to leave the decision chamber. You're going to press play. Now, if we get this timed out really right, we might not be able to do that.
Well,
for the whole episode.
You won't because I'm going to press skip intro because.
Oh yeah, we don't grade the intro. The intro is the same. Maybe we should have a bonus episode for the Patreon subscribers where we tell you how metal the titles are.
But at least the colors change in each season for no reason, if I recall.
Yeah.
And the theme song, because you get the one with the vocals in season 2, I think. Yeah, well, yeah. But that's for our Patreon.
Yeah, you'll have to subscribe to hear the rest of this conversation on the Patreon.
This weekend I just cut my Patreon contribution, so Patreon is not doing well and needs your help. So support podcasts them down on Patreon.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so
now they're in a space.
So we begin with
room.
The captain's log.
Mm-hmm. So the captain's log is important.
And so we learned that Dr. Thomas Slayton has come up with a totally new synthetic food for Cygna Minor, and it's going to end famine, the possibility of famine for this nearby Earth colony.
Mm-hmm. So basically, the Enterprise has been flying around on its enterprisely duties. They get a call from Dr. Tom Layton, and he says, "Guys, I've invented superfood." And I know there's this famine going on.
I actually have some of that superfood now.
Yeah, there it is. Come and pick it up and end that famine. And much to Captain Kirk's chagrin,
oh no,
there's no goddamn superfood.
Yes, this was
but
all
I know what there is
to get Kirk to see the play of Macbeth.
Yeah.
Featuring an actor that Layton asserts is Kodos.
So just to review the sequence of events, Captain Kirk is flying around. He gets a call from Tom Layton. We will learn soon that he's a person he knows, and says, "Hey Jim, you know that famine on Cygna Minor? I've invented a superfood that will solve it." And Kirk says, "Great. I'm coming over to pick it up. That famine's a big problem." He beams down, and his buddy Tom says, "Before we talk about the superfood and this famine, you gotta come see this play with me." And Kirk, for some reason, says, "Okay, sure."
But this guy has, a thing on his face.
Well, yeah, I mean, he is very disfigured. Should we talk about why that is yet, Doug? Or
well, I don't know why it is, but But
as Tim has alleged to, it is a shocking reveal.
Well,
our impression of the teaser is he really has an eye patch, but it's a half face patch.
Yeah, he has a head patch.
Yeah, so it's like if the Phantom of the Opera had his mask made by a moron. That's what it looks like.
It's a pretty accurate description of his mask. So it turns out they start talking about this guy Kodos. And again, the accusation in the teaser is that this actor is Kodos, the executioner, whoever that is. They're still kind of coy who that is. It's clearly someone that Kirk believes is dead. Kirk is very emphatic. Kodos is dead. Leighton is very emphatic that he's alive and he's this actor. They talk. Leighton mentions there's only 8 or 9 of us who actually saw Kodos. I was one. You were another. He has to be exposed. He mentions there's going to be a cocktail party where Kirk can interact with him up close. It's again.
Kirk is very, very concerned about how he's going to explain all this in his vlog.
Yeah. Kirk is like, "What the fuck, man? You said there was superfood." So Kirk is upset by being lied to. He's upset. He's clearly not. This is not a topic. Whoever this Kodos person is not something that Jim Kirk likes to think about. It's important for him that he's dead. And yeah, that's all we have for a little bit.
And he's non-committal about attending the cocktail party, but
I see the answer to what that happened. I see how non-committal he is right now.
So yeah, he gets back to the Enterprise, and then
I feel like I should pause
with the computer.
This. Yeah, pause it. If you're at the cocktail party, pause it.
Dang, spoilers, asshole.
Oh. What?
So he looks up Kodos and the actor Leighton believes is Kodos, Anton Caridian.
Yeah.
They don't seem to have DNA in the future. It's not reliable, you know. Who knows?
I mean, because DNA lies. Weirdly, it's interesting that DNA is later reevaluated by 24th century science, but here in the 23rd century, there must be some stumbling block that prevents DNA from being used to identify people. That will later get resuscitated, but that is. Voice
film is nearly infallible, so
True.
Why worry about DNA?
Right, exactly. Exactly. So Kirk is yelling at the computer. Kirk seems upset and puzzled, and he keeps almost obsessively calling up the file of Kodos and the file of this actor. We learned the backstory of Kodos. So Kodos was the governor of a planet called Tarsus 4. The computer says that there was some crisis. We're not sure what it was yet. They invoked martial law, and he killed 50% of the population of the colony. And when the Earth forces arrived, his body was found burned, and they declared him dead. He pulls up a photo of Kodos, like the last known photo of him, and the photo of the actor who he's just seen. He sees them side by side. He's doing this alone. He's not involving his crew. And then Spock walks in and questions what Kirk is doing.
And I'll reserve it to a future act, but I have a lot to say about Kirk's crew resource management decisions in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
But he also queries the computer to get the backstory on Anton Caridian, who is an actor who's been on tour on a galactic culture exchange project for 9 years. They just tour official installations. Has a 19-year-old daughter named Lenore, and there's no information available to on Anton Caridian prior to 20 years earlier.
Right. So we know that 24 years ago, is it? Kodos is presumed dead, and then 20 years, this actor guy appears, but there doesn't seem to be any history of this actor guy prior to this time.
And we have learned at this point that Kirk saw Kodos, and Kirk, he either did some time in cryo sleep, or he was only like 13 or 14 years old when this happened. I guess we can presume cryo sleep would not help. Anyway, yes.
Yeah, Kirk has to be young here, because it's 24. I always assume Kirk in these episodes is late 30s, maybe even early 40s at the oldest. He's a captain, right? He rose in the ranks.
I'm still waiting for the fucking cocktail party.
We're getting there, man. Hold on. So he had to be young.
It's 2 seasons later.
Because I believe his family was living on Tarsus 4, right? I mean, he wasn't part of the rescue ship.
Yeah, they don't really establish whether he was whether it was his family and he witnessed all this as a civilian. Maybe that was his impetus to joining Starfleet.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Or he entered Starfleet really young as like a super cadet. Maybe he was like in Starfleet ROTC and was on that Earth ship, maybe.
Metal Nation, if you know the answer to this, put it in the comments. Whatever the memory beta, whatever 6 novels have been written on why Kirk joined Starfleet. But for the sake of the audience's attention, we'll...
and the third host's attention.
Yeah.
There's an exciting cocktail party coming up.
I'm sure there's a really tedious William Shatner authored novel that explains it all.
So he beams back down to the cocktail party. The first thing we learn from his wife, Martha, Tom's wife, I should say, is that Tom is in town. And then Kirk immediately meets a pretty girl. And has some really, I get why Kirk limits his relationship to the Enterprise on the basis of this episode, because they don't talk like human beings.
Both
like what chemistry, as most people would define it.
Both Kirk and Lenore have social issues, and they have the most inhuman, bizarre. If you told me that at the end of that What Are Little Girls Made Of episode that the android Kirk was actually the Kirk that survived, I would believe that. It's very unnatural here. So basically, there's a party. Have you gotten to the shocking reveal of the party yet, Tim?
Trying to.
Well, so he meets the pretty girl. He tries to impress her with his rank. There's a weird, I don't know if you call it, Matt, but like lack of logic to the order of the conversation.
Yeah, it's very scattered.
Where he expresses interest in meeting her father, and then she volunteers that her father is Macbeth in the play. It's like, why would he be asking if he didn't know that? Anyway, yeah. Then they go outside. Where Kirk goes from someone brash to something different.
Because nothing's sexier than taking a walk in the desert. So they kind of walk around in the desert and they make a grim discovery. Tell us what it is, Tim.
They're still fucking talking. I don't fucking know.
Oh shit! You haven't gotten to the grim discovery yet.
Hey, I waited on you. Now you gotta wait on me.
Okay, well,
All right. So they had this long conversation about nothing. Okay, now they're outside. They're in
here we go.
They're in the space desert.
Walking.
She's wearing.
Thank you.
So I guess since they went outside, she put on a black veil over part of her head, but not her face. And they're fucking talking some more. Why do you like this episode? They're still talking.
All right, just give them. I mean, the talking parts you'll find are more entertaining when you're listening with the sound on. So I imagine
she's copping a feel. He goes in for a smooch, and there's a man in purple pants dead, apparently.
Oh no! Who's that man?
Oh, it's the guy with the head thing, face thing. It's Tom Layton.
Tom Layton is dead.
He's dead. I turned on the captions. This helps a lot.
He's dead.
Oh, and then they dragged him into the space living room's couch so they could put the blanket over his face. They didn't perfectly cover his face.
And then Kirk awkwardly shoves away Tom's wife.
Yeah.
Then calls in a favor with the Astral Queen, which is the ship that's meant to be picking up this Macbeth troop.
Yeah, so during the boring conversation, Lenore mentions that the Astral Queen is taking them to their next destination. And Kirk tells the captain of that ship to leave. And because this strands the acting troupe, they'll have no choice but to go on the Enterprise. So Kirk can now observe the situation.
So after having that scramble conversation, he beams back up.
And that's Act 2. Pause it!
I'm not there yet. All right, let's start talking. Kirk is talking a whole lot still. He did.
Is he on a communicator yet?
Yes, he did awkwardly shove away that lady though, who didn't seem that upset that her freak husband died.
I mean, some might say that Tom Layton died on Tarsus 4 with a lot of other people.
Oh, let's go to the chamber.
All right,
we're there.
Oh, that was your beer opening? I like that one.
I don't know what you were talking about.
Right, if you didn't catch it, we're in the decision chamber, folks.
Right. Okay. So after such a height, we do descend rapidly in this act. There's a lot of talking. I do like how they slow played a lot of reveals. I do like how they didn't, I think there's a tendency in those logs to give us an unnecessary exposition dump. And there was some good discipline in this episode. As Tim is well aware, some of the weird, awkward conversation between Lenore and Kirk goes on a little too long. It's not bad. I'm gonna give it a 5 quality score. There's unexplained murder. There's a war criminal. There's a disfigured guy. So that's at least a 6 metal score, but it's.
And I would argue the dialogue, the man-woman dialogue, and how awkward it is very metal.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
The quip nature and florid analogies.
They're each much more interested in what they're saying than what the other is saying.
Yeah. And we'll get into their very interesting relationship in the next act. The other interesting thing that we first see here is, the Enterprise must go. It does go a long way before it can get into Starbase 6 or wherever to unload its memory banks, and they seem to be running or have concerns about running low on data because the captain's logs and even the computer responses are really clippy. They're trying to save some bytes.
That's like I imagine the Enterprises of the vintage that used to have the turbo button, and so maybe someone unclicked the turbo button on the main computer core, just to save some power, save some bytes.
Yeah, and it'll take Mr. Scott a little while to notice that.
Yeah,
who's not even in this episode.
Is he? Yeah, he's not even a voiceover or anything. Huh.
So yeah, I'm going to give it. It's 6 and 6.
6 and 6.
All
right.
They took something possibly interesting, like a cocktail party, and ruined it with a bunch of talking. And then they took something potentially awesome, like finding a corpse, and didn't bother investigating anything. They just brought him into the space couch and put a space blanket over him. So I'm going to go 2 and 1.9.
2. So 2 is your metal score or your quality score?
Who cares?
Okay.
Split
metal.
Split the difference. Yeah. 1.95 for each.
You know what? I actually am going to unilaterally increase your metal score to a 3 because of your metal attitude towards this episode.
I did it too metal.
I do like the line by Tom's wife where she says, "Oh, why was Tom killed if what he suspected wasn't true?"
What?
I mean, that is a pretty... You know, if I ever had a loved one murdered, I would have such a tortured grammatical and logical sentence on my lips as well.
I'm hitting play.
All right.
I'm not
All right,
waiting
so
for
we're
you.
stepping out of the decision chamber.
I really need to get this tablet working again.
Okay, so now it's Act 2. We're halfway there. No, we're a quarter of the way there. It's Act 2. We're back on the Enterprise. Kirk is still a researching kind of guy. And he discovers that there's this Lieutenant Kevin Riley, who I believe we've seen before. He's one of these semi-regular guys. I think he was mouthing off during the Naked Time, if I'm not mistaken.
So we just to step back, we open, or this happens at the end of Act 1 by my notes, but we didn't discuss when he beams back up.
Oh, that's right. Yeah,
and then Lenore. And he doesn't tell anyone that he diverted the Astral Queen.
Right.
Or the probable course chain of events that would result in. And then Mr. Spock gives him a weird look. And then Lenore personally beams up to talk to him to ask if the Enterprise can take the drama troupe to the next their destination.
Yeah. She is wearing a fur dress that starts below her shoulders and ends way above her knees. It's probably very confusing because she must be cold in some places and too hot in other places. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, and Kirk is very concerned about the regulations on transporting civilians until it becomes a quid pro quo arrangement, and he's very okay with that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But not...
Space ethics has become more refined.
Right.
Yeo Man Rand or whoever just came off the turbo lift and gave her a look. Ooh.
And Spock gives a look, too.
Spock's always giving that look, though.
Yeah.
Oh, faded to black. Is this the end of something?
Okay, that's actually the end of the first act, but who gives a shit? Anyway. So, okay, she's on the ship now. And so they're good. So he's agreed now to send them to Benicia Colony. Even though it's off course of where they're supposed to go, they need to get there computer refreshed or wherever they're going.
She doesn't need to go back to her home of Scandinavia?
No. She needs to do another outfit change. So famously, Lenore's character has 6 different outfits over the course of this episode for some reason. I guess you could argue one of them is like what she's wearing in plays, but even then, she has 4 different outfits, which is almost unprecedented in the 23rd century, where everyone just does everything in the same 1 or 2 sets of clothes. So this is a depiction of an actor's vanity, perhaps. I don't know.
Yeah, I think Kirk only has 3 outfits.
Yeah, and they're all uniforms.
Yeah, I wonder if we ever see him in civilian clothes before Star Trek 3. Yeah,
I don't think
there in a year.
Years.
Oh no! You guys gotta catch up.
Yeah. So
okay.
He's growing the computer. We were in the 9 eyewitnesses, and that one is Star Service Officer Kevin O'Reilly.
Yep.
Who we at least saw in The Naked Time.
Yep. And he's
a fine young officer.
He's a fine young officer. Oh, we're all synced up now.
All right.
He apparently got transferred. Oh, Kirk sort of randomly transfers him. And
without
Spock
providing a rationale to anyone.
Spock is just sort of concerned why he's doing that. And Spock says you can't just transfer people with no reason. They'll think you're punishing them. And Kirk says, I don't give a shit, Mr. Spock. I'm the boss. Or words to that effect.
You get a bit of a snit there.
As usual, Kirk's odd behavior causes Spock to run to McCoy, and they're trying to figure out what the hell is going on. And as usual, McCoy's only explanation is that Kirk is horny.
So he walks in on McCoy, who is about to enjoy day drinking.
Yeah, that's okay. Yes.
With
His first sip of the True in a while.
In a tiny little goblet. Maybe it's just strong stuff.
Yeah, I imagine it's medicinal grade hooch.
We learned that Spock doesn't drink, and his father taught him that, and then McCoy says that's why the Vulcans were conquered.
That doesn't... whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Hey, outfit change. You better hurry up.
Oh, shit.
McCoy's like, I'm just going to drink. Whatever. I don't care. Jim generally knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Did you see that? What word? Juliet?
Did you see that Juliet? That pretty, exciting creature? Of course he's going to act all weird. And Spock says, okay, I think you're wrong, but whatever. All right, so now, after her outfit change, Kirk is giving Lenore a tour of the ship. And
what a great hallway they're in.
As usual, when there's a woman on the Enterprise, Kirk is trying to flirt with a girl without letting the Enterprise know, and does a lot of weird compliments about the Enterprise.
Yeah, and we learned here that the Enterprise is a really shitty observation deck.
Yeah.
At least until Star Trek V. And yeah, they have an awkward conversation about the soft lighting. Because I guess seems to be observing the flight deck of the shuttles, which one would think is... And it's got those weird diamond-shaped door egresses for no reason.
Yeah. It's a weird set that they're on.
So in the remaster version, do they cut to see the shuttle bay?
They don't. You just see...
Good, because they don't in the original.
You just see them looking out the window. But it's just this weird... This is a weird thing. And I just enjoy...
To the scene, not you.
I'm just enjoying...
the amazing dialogue.
Yeah.
That makes them out to be both like...
woman always
sociopaths.
Shut up, Kirk.
Yeah, and it just looks like the worst arrangement of an observation deck.
Oh, the cameraman's bored as shit too because he didn't focus.
Oh, that was a stylistic thing.
No,
Yeah, that was a choice.
Especially when filming women. Yeah.
Stop being an apologist for their failures.
Okay.
So is this so they discussed the soft lights, and Kirk's like, no, we do this to stay synced with Earth, which raises the question. Well, I mean, no, it's not a question. Of course, it's Eastern time.
Yeah, of course.
It's with New York.
It's Earth time, Doug. That's New York time.
Wouldn't it be?
Is this the only time this is referenced until that Next Gen episode that's like the night shift?
Yeah. Yes. Because, all that night that happens on this ship in space.
So when Nora weirdly asserts that the poem she says is as old as the stars.
Yeah, which probably means it's a Gene Roddenberry poem.
That would explain why Kirk's like, yeah, it's a classic or whatever.
Yeah.
And then she starts talking about the surging and throbbing ship, very under control, just like you, Captain.
Yeah.
All the power at your command. And then they leave they agree that they establish that Kirk's human.
Mm-hmm. Which is good to always establish.
Yeah. They haven't quite established that she's human, but I think that comes later.
Yeah.
And she really wants to know about the women of Kirk's world.
Yeah.
He of course, only has one woman who he's trying to hide from. That's why they're there. And then you get the classic line, worlds may change, galaxies disintegrate, but a woman always remains a woman.
Cool.
Right. And she plays to Kirk's ego, and they end with him as Caesar of the stars and her as Cleopatra. And I think they embrace and kiss, right?
Yeah.
Finally, a passionate embrace, so says this transcript.
What a weird transcript. What's going on the video there, Tim?
Oh, I'm like way ahead of you. There's some guy with space food now.
Okay, all right, good.
Spock has explained everything. So
so Spock figured everything out. Spock makes this connection between Leighton and the actor and Kevin Riley and Kirk. He runs to McCoy. You would think as a logical person, Spock would realize that running to McCoy is the worst thing to do, but he explains what happened on Tarsus 4. There was a fungus that killed the food supply, and there was only enough food for half of the 8,000 colonists. So Kodos seized power. He was already the governor, but I guess he seized power, extra power, and they don't explain what they were, but Spock and several other people say he had his own theory of eugenics. So somehow he killed the people he didn't deem were worthy and let the others survive. Among the unworthy, for example, were Kevin Riley's parents and Kirk. Obviously, any standard of eugenics would accept James Kirk as the best of human specimens. So he clearly survived. And Tommy Leighton survived, but, something must have happened to him. And 5 other guys who we never learn who they are. So it's weird that such a horrible thing happens and was so... You would think this would be a rarity in the 23rd century, but when approached about this, McCoy's like, oh yeah, that thing. It's just very nonchalantly acknowledged.
Yeah, he's still day drunk, and Spock really should have known not to go to him, because he's made it clear he doesn't give a shit right now. He's just the doctor on duty. I mean, And I have to acknowledge that Spock is much better at making database queries than Kirk.
Yeah, because Spock got it all in like 10 seconds.
Yeah, like one search.
Don't do it. Don't drink the. Oh no. Oh, what are you doing?
And, well, we're going to catch up to Tim, but Spock does make an interesting distinction between.
Okay, good. All right.
A moral distinction between a quick and painless death and death.
Right. There's
what are you
categories
doing?
All right. When what happens, you're gonna have to pause it.
So this is all right. So now Spock, who has not been consulted at all about anything, has already figured out everything. And knows more than the captain who's on his own mission. So this is just terrible crew resource management when the person you have to consult it's figured it all out and knows more than you do about everything.
We were set up a big mystery which Spock solves immediately.
So then we get what Tim's seeing, the O'Reilly scene, where he's in engineering, and he seems to have not gotten the vaccine in the naked time. They must have missed him because he's still kind of drunk.
You know what? I would like to posit that maybe everyone thought Kirk was going to be on the planet longer, so everyone kind of took a short day, and we're all kind of drinking, and oh shit, the captain's back. Because that explains, we'll get to it in a second, but Uhura, for some reason, is playing the Vulcan harp thing without explanation. She's just singing and strumming the harp thing in the rec room.
I think she was doing Forever by the Beach Boys. I think she was. But
oh, it wasn't a Gene Roddenberry classic?
Oh,
it was amazing because I think Forever was written 20 years after this episode.
Let's see.
Let
me think on that. I think it was late 70s, early 80s. So
he's very vocal about his confusion to the people on the deck, and he seems to be drinking a black and tan or whatever.
No, it's a glass of milk in a smoked glass.
But I think the read here is Riley's upset that he's been demoted, and that's why he's sort of inappropriate and more than willing to just leave his job and go to the rec room.
Well, he stays in engineering.
He just talks to them
there.
Yeah.
And then he just calls blindly to the rec deck and talks to that guy and grouses, and then hears Uhura's voice, and then she sings. And then we see a plastic commercial squirt bottle.
Yeah,
put something in his.
It's not like a Windex sprayer, but it's like, I could use a Windex sprayer, and you go and buy one. Buy like a bottle that you can fill yourself. Okay. That's not a name brand. That's what that's what they got, and it sprays some clear liquid into his milk.
And it's a good thing he had that direct line with the rec deck because he's able to cry for help.
Right. As he, according to the transcript, is sweating and choking.
Oh, he was definitely sweating.
So then we cut to sick bay,
where he's in a space bed.
Is not particularly committed to saving O'Reilly, but is at least present.
There's some great Dr. McCoy banter where Spock informs McCoy that he has to save this patient's life as the doctor, something he should already be trying to do, and McCoy says, "I'm not sure I can." Which is something you always want to hear from a doctor treating you when you're not entirely unconscious.
And then Spock makes it very clear that if he dies, the only one who'll be able to identify Kodos as the captain, and he'll be the next target.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
What a strange
So we
series
step
of
into the
coincidences.
decision chamber.
Oh,
Yeah, we gotta go to the chamber.
all right,
Right.
we're there.
Want to lead off, Doug?
Yeah, I mean, McCoy is so metal throughout this. He's day drinking. He takes an active disinterest in everything going on. Man, yeah, and then just the way they Kirk and Lenore consolidate this twisted whatever that's going on around Kirk's ego and all the throbbing. The awkwardness of all that is very metal, and then the way Kirk's hiding her from the ship is metal.
Yeah, I think it's very metal too. The behavior and attitude of the crew reminds me of that Manowar song where the guy quits his job
Yes.
because they wouldn't let him. They wouldn't let him play metal at work.
That's
And I'm
Die
sure
for
he was
Metal.
like a doctor. That's Die for Metal.
Great song.
I've played that song after quitting a job, and it was the greatest feeling of my life.
Yes, I'm trying to. I guess this act is if. I mean, in Kirk's bad crew resource management, and it's just atrocious. Here we end the act with him knowing the least about what's going on, when it's his personal mission right now to figure things out. But that's pretty metal. Just doing it all yourself, oblivious, no trust of anyone else, and it would go in the next act, but being very defensive as to your approach.
Okay.
So it does move the story along. It's entertaining. You have the metal score of 7, quality score of 6.
Okay. I agree with the metalness of this. I think out of all the characters we see, McCoy is certainly the least metal. But he's also very metal with his day drinking and his laissez-faire attitude. It's at least as metal as Act 1. And I'm going to say there have been some deviations. Some things have gotten metaler, some things have gotten less metal. Like the observation deck is not very metal. So I'm just going to repeat the Act 1 scores here. 6 for metal, 5 for quality.
All right, let's see. They ruined a nice hallway by talking too much. And then I was a fan of the day drinking and Spock's ability to, well, first of all, he shits all over McCoy's day drinking. That's pretty metal passing judgment. And,
McCoy's racism.
Yeah. And then the one guy dies, which is pretty cool, but it was because he was drinking milk, which is less cool. He should have been day drinking like McCoy.
Yeah.
We don't know that he isn't. I mean, it's like it's milk.
It could have been a big glass of Bailey's Irish cream or something.
Yeah.
What else happened?
Don't you like the subversive act of a grown adult drinking a glass of milk?
Yeah, that's almost better.
No, well, I like how Spock just figured it all out in 30 seconds and then explained it all. Exerting your intelligence. That's pretty metal.
The captain's just stroking his ego.
However, I'm going to give it a 4 and a 4 because all the talking. Too much talking.
There's a lot. There's a lot of talking. All right, let's leave this chamber and continue on our journey.
All right, so here's an example. This captain's log. If they're trying to save some bytes. Like they set out a blanket directive. You got to save space. The network drive's getting full, so it's all clippy.
Yeah, it's like that episode.
Condition worsening. Dr. McCoy making lab analysis to determine and cause antidote. Entire crew deeply concerned.
It's like that episode of The Office when Kevin says, "Why say lot word when few word do trick?"
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
Yeah, maybe it was a newspeak directive that came down from Space Service Command.
One day they see.
Maybe we need a whole separate Office Rewatch podcast as well.
I am in until Steve Carell leaves, then I'm out.
Oh yeah.
So we learned that what ended up in O'Reilly's drink was tetralubisol, a highly volatile lubricant used aboard the ship. Fox makes the conclusion that someone tried to poison him. McCoy's like, whoa, tetralubisol is a milky substance. Someone could have gotten careless, made a mistake.
So, again, this engineer, and we've established, even though he was demoted back to engineering earlier in the episode, we say he came from engineering. So, Dr. McCoy's theory is that old Lieutenant Riley is working in engineering and doing stuff and is thirsty and said, "This container looks like milk."
Yeah, it may just be a paperwork thing because he's writing up this report and Spock's like, "You got to show it to the captain." And McCoy's like, "I'm not done the report." And Spock's like, "Now."
I don't appreciate how report-centric the McCoy character is. It's something you don't really think about, but at least in these first season episodes, he's always talking about reports.
Yeah, and this is what he's usually able to use him to get what he wants. This time, he's just stuck writing a report.
Yeah. What are you enjoying down there?
Down there.
Well, you're on the bottom of my screen. So.
Oh, on the viewers, we're all on the same level.
Oh, I mean over there.
That's better. They're in sick bay. I'm ahead of you again. They're in sick bay, and then Captain Kirk goes, "I gotta figure out if Caradan or whoever is Kodos." And Spock goes, "He is."
Yeah, so we should move to that. So,
I'm past that now, so you better hurry up.
Spock and begrudgingly McCoy go to Kirk's quarters.
Oh, that's where they were. Okay.
And they give an update on now McCoy says he has a good chance. I guess the buzz is wearing off. He's a little more committed.
Uh-oh, watch out. All right, go ahead.
And then Kirk's like, well, Spock implies that Kirk.
Can they do that? Hurry up!
Harm.
I'm gonna pause it.
And then Kirk's like, "All right, Mr. Spock, let's have it." And then we get this clip dialogue about how he was a witness and someone tried to kill him. McCoy doubles down on it being an accident.
It was totally an accident.
"You should be told the difference between empiricism and stubbornness, Doctor. I checked the library computer just as you did. I got the same information." And then Kirk's like, "Aren't you getting a little out of line, Mr. Spock? My personal business."
Yeah.
And then...
Yeah. Because apparently apprehending a potential war criminal is just Kirk's personal business.
Yeah, and then McCoy kicks back in, like the marbles fall into place. He's like, oh yeah, and starts caring right now. And it's like, that's Spock's job, Jim. And then suddenly the inference, no, Spock throws out the notions that this is all about vengeance.
Which doesn't make sense because Kirk is clearly avoiding and in denial about the whole thing.
Which will continue throughout the episode. He's going out of his way. Yeah.
This is much more like a PTSD, like, oh, he's dead. No, oh no, he's definitely dead. There's no way he's still alive. This is just a coincidence. And I'm not trying to bang his daughter. It's just totally coincidental, and don't worry about it.
Yeah, that's it. You sound certain. I wish I could be. Before I accuse a man of that, I've got to be. I saw him once, 20 years ago. Men change. Memory changes. Look at him now. It's not enough. I've got to feel my way. Make absolutely sure. Yeah, logic is not enough. I've got to feel my way.
Okay.
And he is feeling his way. Yeah, that is happening actively.
And then really suspiciously, McCoy leaves. Kirk and Spock start to talk, and then you couldn't hear it, but there's a high-pitched hum. And again, it's not clear when or why McCoy left, but now all of a sudden there is a shrill noise that Kirk and Spock identify as a phaser on overload.
And so Kirk declares that they're at double red alert.
Double red alert.
Double. That's twice as bad as regular red alert.
I think this is the first double red alert called in the show. Correct us in the comments if we're wrong.
And so I'm not sure what makes it a double red alert, but it's on.
Twice as bad.
And they look around for it.
It's right there. It's right there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see it.
So Spock runs into the corridor and tells everyone to go away. They mentioned that the phaser could destroy the entire deck.
Don't put it in there.
Yeah, and then this brings the Kirk and Spock back together as it should be on the same page. They do find the phaser up in the. I guess it looks like a light.
Yeah, it's like in the light fixture or something.
And then Kirk takes the phaser and dumps it down a chute into the bowels of the ship.
Which again, as they had just minutes or seconds ago established, it could blow up the entire deck. It seems weird to throw it in between stuff, but that's exactly what he does.
They dropped it down to the enlisted decks. It's okay.
It's a pressure waste disposal unit, so maybe the pressure reduces the explosion.
Okay, that's plausible. Perhaps.
Those eyebrows. Hurry up.
Okay, so now Kirk is convinced something's going on. So he goes to confront Anton Caridian, and this is the voice print, right, Doug? This is
shut up. He had to answer with a dad joke. All right, go ahead.
Wait, what was the dad joke?
It was what? So he confronts him and he goes, "What were you 20 years ago?" And he says, "Younger."
Oh yeah, that's a pretty good dad joke.
Yeah, and then Kirk, he says he's Kodos if Kirk believes that because he's an actor.
Yeah,
and he plays many parts.
Yeah,
and then Kirk demands that he read something into a communicator on the wall. Because the voice film test is nearly infallible.
Nearly infallible.
But here's what I understand. Kirk says the voice test can tell if he's Caridian or Kodos, as if those were two separate people. But all the information that we learned earlier says that this is a character Kodos created after he escaped. So wouldn't those two people come up as identical? No one is suggesting there's another Caridian, are they?
Yeah, and Kirk's whole logic to, okay, so think we can do a voice match or whatever, but there seems to be implicit significance to the words he's saying, but Kirk has not pulled this out of some kind of repository. Kirk acknowledges that he wrote them down, and they sound familiar to...
I'm glad Google eventually gets the voice recognition right.
Yeah. Will save our lives. Yeah, so... Yeah, Kirk somehow held on to this. But again, Kirk survived, and he doesn't even have a freaky, head patch. So we have to assume Kirk was among those who were living. So I don't know. This posits that Kirk is watching an execution, or I don't know. It just seems strange. Maybe it was a speech he was giving on the televiewer. I don't know.
Well, and Kirk talks about him acting out this role in front of a captive audience who he blasted out of existence without mercy.
Yeah.
And then Ardian, I've already forgotten how do you say his name?
Caridian, I think.
Caridian, yeah. He goes on a lecture about how Kirk is the perfect symbol of our technical society, mechanized, electronicized, and not very human.
By the way, if you're trying to convince someone you're not Kodos the Executioner, maybe going on a weird social tirade isn't the best thing to do.
Yeah, and there's some Randian notions. You've done away with humanity, the striving of man to achieve greatness through his own resources. And we've armed man with tools. The striving for greatness continues, but Kodos.
Yeah.
And then they kind of go on and on about Kodos, 4,000 people being butchered, history making its judgment.
This guy's so melodramatic.
Well, he is an actor.
And then Lenore suddenly appears.
I haven't gotten there yet. You finally got ahead of me.
Spoiler alert, Lenore is going to walk in.
And I think there's some awkward illusion going on because they've established Kirk's humanity earlier, Lenore and Kirk, and then here they are. Here, what's his name is accusing Kirk of not being human.
Yeah. And Lenore is upset that Kirk is confronting her dad. And she seems very hostile, unlike she was earlier. There's a stain of cruelty on your shining armor, Captain. You could have talked to me. And there's no mercy in you.
And she was a tool, just like the tool he had just referenced.
Yeah. Yeah. And so
she compares him to the ship, which probably
made his day. Actually.
Yeah.
It's like, I am.
Then they agree.
Yeah. So it's just weird. He says, "Well, if he's Kodos, I've shown him more mercy than he deserves. If he isn't, I'll let you go."
Right, but this seems like a time of a decision point.
Yeah.
Yet no decision is made.
Yeah. It's very tight and at a point, but then Kirk just kind of waves. Again, he's a survivor of trauma. Maybe he just can't confront this. Are you in sickbay yet?
Yep, just now.
Okay, cool. So then, luckily, our buddy Lieutenant Riley is feeling fine, double fine, in fact, and he finds out that there's a passenger who calls himself Caridian, but he's really Kodos, and he's getting mad. And I think that's the end of this act.
Yep. All right. Into the decision chamber.
To the chamber.
Okay, so they took something as cool as accusing someone of murder and ruined it with a bunch of talking.
Not just murder, but genocide.
Genocide, yes. Lots and lots of murder. Yeah, I meant to say genocide. What else happened? Lots of talking, right?
There's an exploding phaser.
That's a pretty intense scene.
It's a phaser.
There was a double red alert.
A double red alert, which is dumb. Yeah, so I'm gonna I have to score this the best so far. So I'm gonna give it a nice medium 5 and 5.
5 and 5. All right. I think the metalness has stayed about the same.
You do mention wrong.
Well, okay. Oh, you know what? Just for that, I'm gonna disagree respectfully, which is what Kirk should have done instead of being a whiny psychopath. Anyway, I think the quality of this act suffered a little bit with all the talking that you mentioned. So I am going to give it a 4.5. There's just something really weird, long, and drawn out about it. And it's like racing towards a conclusion, but not going there quickly. But I mean, the double red alert is metal. An exploding phaser is metal. Nonchalantly caring about the life of your patient as a doctor is pretty metal. Indecision is metal.
Yeah, in pursuing vengeance.
Maybe it is. I don't know.
The bad crew resource management, pursuit of vengeance, and then actual decisions and actions taken that are the opposite.
You know what?
Sort of blindness is fairly metal.
You know what? I'm upping by a 0.5. You're right. There's a lot of brash, emotional decision makings, despite the fact that a clear, straightforward path has been set out and presented to you on a platter.
Yeah, I'm going to go 7 and 5. I'm going to stick with 7-6.
7-6. All right.
It maintains the metalness. Yeah, the Lenore and Kirk, they're awkward. They're not. Yeah, not connecting at the emotional level.
Yeah,
I'm trying not to use certain words that would sound pejorative.
Right. No, I see what you're doing. All right, press play, leave the chamber. We have one act to go.
Oh, good, a fucking play.
Well,
so we get another captain's log where there's saving on the megabytes. Suspect under surveillance, strategic areas under double guard. Performance of the Cardian players taking place as scheduled.
Yes, they wasted so many words in all these fucking dialogue scenes. They had to take them out of the captain's log where it could have been helpful.
They used up their word count. I like how we have both an in-universe and real-world explanation. The Union says the script can only be 10,000 words. Okay, so for whatever reason, despite the attempted murder, they decide, what the heck, we'll just keep putting on the play. So they're going to put on the play. And they, before the play starts, they're looking at, Kirk and Spock are looking at the voice print results, and they're close, but it's not a 100% match.
Which, from Kirk's perspective, means it's not a decision that a machine can make. Which, what's the decision? Like capital punishment? It's like throw him in the brig, make him sweat.
I think what he's looking for is definitive proof. He needs something unequivocal, and yet he's not receiving it. I think this is still his survivor of trauma response here.
He's not utilizing the resources available to him, and he doesn't even have awareness of that because of the PTSD.
Right, exactly. Meanwhile, McCoy is making jokes about doctors missing plays. And again, super attentive physician Leonard McCoy has lost track of seemingly his only patient. And Riley's gone. We don't know where he is. I was recording my log about Ceridian and Kodos. Maybe he overheard it. And also then security calls and said there's a phaser missing. Which I was unclear if that was the phaser used in the attack, which makes more sense. But apparently it's another phaser that's missing.
Should be two. Well, I guess I guess they removed it from inventory when it exploded outside.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe they have better.
That had to, Who's the quartermaster here?
But then, even though there's a missing phaser, and we know that an overloading phaser is a double red alert, but a missing phaser is just a security 2 alert. So we go to security 2 alert, and be on the lookout for crazy old Kevin Riley. And let's all go to the theater.
And then?
And then there's a really long
I shouldn't have paused
scene of Hamlet.
Yeah, and then if I may jump ahead, Kirk's lurking around backstage, and then Riley's lurking backstage, and while they're on stage, they're having a conversation backstage.
Again, Jim Kirk is a disrespectful audience member.
But being the consummate professional that Kodos is, he continues the play.
And, we've established Kirk's mental state, which is not good, but he's trying to talk O'Reilly from throwing away his life on vengeance, which is exactly what Kirk is trying to do.
The audience can see you walking around backstage.
The other weird choice is that Ceridian is playing the ghost of Hamlet, or Hamlet's father, which I guess is an appropriate role for an actor of his age, but his monologue is just nothing but weird double entendre, ghosts of the past kind of stuff. If I was a genocidal war criminal hiding out, a Gul Darheel, if you will, I would probably pick another role rather than one so obvious and making so many off-camera allusions to what I've done.
Well, I think it's his conscience getting at him.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe that makes sense.
But then at some point, a red shirt shows up. What is that? Was that to restrain O'Reilly?
Yeah, because remember he called security he put a BPB on O'Reilly there.
Oh, she did
this.
Interesting.
Security alert too. Yeah.
Spoiler alert. Well, yep. Well, let's get to it then. As the man said, she did it interesting. So
I'm not going to explain it. You explain it. Because there's a monologue that precedes it that's probably important.
Yeah.
Anyone?
So, okay.
Anyone?
Okay, so the red shirt shows up. They get to a break in the play.
Where they're
it's between
speaking at full volume just backstage.
Yeah. Again, it seems strange on this military ship that the captain is wandering around in plain view of all his crew members, but everyone's just kind of sitting there.
So yeah, Lenore, she comes in, takes the phaser. We learn that she's in fact been the one killing everyone.
Yeah.
And this is there's two things that are shocking to how do you say his name? Why do I keep forgetting?
Caridian.
Caridian. Number one, that she's been killing all the people at each stop. The whole tour route is to get to the 9 people, we learn. And that two, he has no idea she knows who he is.
Yeah.
Even though Kirk accused him of being that in the previous scene. But I mean, denial, all that, I get it.
Yeah. It seems, well, I mean, he knows who he is. But she, even in that scene, even though the accusation was there, she says, "Why are you bothering him? Like, you shouldn't be giving this accusation." So maybe I don't know.
Not on stage. What are you doing?
Maybe accusing people of Kodos is just kind of a common thing.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone's like, "You're a fucking Kodos, man." So there's this big reveal. We learn that Lenore has been the one killing everybody, and
she takes the red shirt's phaser off his gun belt, and then goes on a tirade about turning the Enterprise into a floating tomb that'll be a memorial to her father.
Yep. Yeah. Yep.
And then in the process, accidentally shoots her father.
Yeah. Well, I actually think he save.
Yeah, that's
he
right.
saves Kirk. Like, she's going to shoot Kirk, and Kodos, summoning the last of his humanity, I guess, saves Kirk's life and takes the phaser shot. But also, does that mean he can travel faster than the speed of light? Because, I mean, isn't a phaser a beam of light? He's really fast. Those eugenics, there might be something to those eugenics.
I think it all ties to the eugenics wars, and I bet Khan Noonyoung Soon was probably on this planet, and there's probably 6 novels written about it that we're not going to talk about now.
You know, I actually think that there must be a tie-in with, the augments in the last season of Enterprise, kind of inspiring Kodos. That's about the right time for young Kodos to be influenced by them. It's the perpetual fascination. Eric Sung, I think, is inspired by Khan Singh too. So I think many people throughout history have indulged this darker side of human promise. So
she's all upset that she accidentally killed her father, and she's just quoting a bunch of plays. So, so if this ever happens to me, I need you all to recite stuff from the Book of Mormon. And preferably sing one of the songs. I think that'd be fun.
Oh, the play, not the book. I'll say a bunch of stuff from the actual.
The Broadway musical, The Book of Mormon.
Okay. That makes a lot more sense.
Well, the final payoff is she says the title of the episode.
Yep.
Yes, she had the titular line. Did you know I had the titular line in Star Wars? That's a great sketch that no one has seen.
That's a great sketch.
All right. So then we end up in the bridge, and then we learn that she's crazy.
We learn. I figured it out, Jim. She's crazy.
Weird.
Here's my medical report.
It's strange we never actually learned how she learned.
Yeah.
Like,
because Kodos didn't know she knew.
Yeah.
The full story.
Maybe she just heard everyone whisper, "Is that goddamn Kodos?" Yeah, that's an interesting question too.
She may be very adept at database queries, like Mr. Spock.
Yeah, that could be. That could be.
So we cut to so we're on the bridge, and then McCoy, being the inquisitive or astute reader of people, asked Kirk if he really cared for her, and Kirk does not answer. McCoy says is an answer. The end.
And that's the end of that. I guess let's go to the chamber.
All right. I'll start. They ruined the play. The play was, this play in particular was tedious.
Isn't ruining a play by talking through it very metal? Especially if you
I was going to say it was tedious to begin with, but then you can't even concentrate with all these full volume conversations going on backstage. So, and then they ruined a perfectly good murder, though accidental, with a bunch of talking. So, I'm going to go ahead and give this a 2 and a 2.
Double twos. Is that in honor of the double red alert from the previous act?
Let's say it was, and I was thinking ahead.
Or security alert too from this.
Yeah, one's a double red alert and one's a security alert too.
Okay, quality. There is a lot of talking. There is a lot of unnecessary Shakespeare. This episode, I think, starts. This is like, I'm sure, one of the episodes that Gene Roddenberry and Rick Berman watched when they were thinking of The Next Generation. When they were thinking, you know what everyone loved about Star Trek? It was all that Shakespeare in it. So, that's important for the later development of Star Trek. Kodos has a redemption of sorts. I'm not sure that absolves him of genocide. But, moral order is retained. Like, of all the confrontations with a potential genocidaire, I believe is the correct word, in Star Trek, this is my second favorite. So I'm gonna give it a solid 7 in quality. Interruption is metal. Theatricality is metal.
Is it metal?
Huh?
I was just interrupting you.
Yeah. Oh, interrupting is metal.
I was also thinking that.
He did it again. Unnecessarily quoting text is metal. I'm gonna give it an 8.
Yeah, you sold me. I mean, there's a lot of talking, but yeah, all this over the top drama. It's pretty metal. It's like a Camelot video. This whole act is a Camelot video, and you could do the Shakespeare as like do it like samples.
Yeah.
The music.
Perfect. Yeah.
And just the Kirk's lack of awareness that he seems to be on a vengeance quest, and it's not a problem if he does it, but O'Reilly.
Yeah, that's another great, like, the hypocrisy is like, you can't revenge on him because I am. Even though we know Kirk's parents presumably weren't killed by Kodos, and Riley's parents certainly were. So in some sort of, like, moral framework of revenge, I feel like Riley has a better cause for revenge. Like, Kirk just saw some fucked up shit, but Riley lost his parents.
Yeah, and why is Kirk even in that framework? There is a space judicial system. Yeah.
Which we'll learn all about very soon.
Yeah, and presumably you could do a space war crimes tribunal.
Yeah.
They seem to have evidence. But it seems to be a binary choice of let him go or commit an extra legal act of vengeance.
Yeah, which are like the two possible cases when, you know, I think Hannah Arendt in Banality of Evil was talking about those two possibilities.
And I mean, I guess this usually when your XO would maybe offer alternative opinions, but Kirk's just shut out everything but himself.
Mm-hmm.
All that, and he's unaware of any of that. And even at the end of it, he's not really aware of any of that. And they can just dismiss all this on Lenore being crazy on the basis of shock as captured in McCoy's medical report. So all that's pretty metal. I'm actually going to go with an 8 and a 7.
Wow. Okay. Oops. Uh-oh. What happened there? Said an 8 and a 7.
All right. Let's get a summary and let's get out of here.
Ooh. All right. Well, interesting. This is really interesting. So, this is a very metal episode. It is very consistent. Are you doing that to the episode or to me? It's very consistent. All the acts are fairly close in their metal score. I was thinking it was looking very close, like this was going to be our metalist episode as we were talking. It, however, is not. And in fact, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 5th most metal we've seen so far. Beaten out by the Corbomite maneuver, Dagger of the Mind, which is still our reigning metal episode, which I think makes sense. But this is a very strong episode. This is a very good episode. A lot of these old Star Trek episodes can have their cringy moments, and there are some cringy moments here. But, you know, of the ones we've seen, I'm proud to say I enjoyed this and didn't have that much problem with it.
Yeah, it holds up. Yeah.
Too much useless talking.
Stand by our objective score.
And interrupting.
You leave the useless talking and interrupting to us.
Yeah. Well, in our defense, we weren't born yet, but had we been, we would have interrupted better and faster and louder.
All right.
What was the absolute score?
So the absolute score was 173.9, which is a 70.69. Very strong, respectable score. And I always like this metric. It is... Where'd it go? It is... I need to pull out a calculator here.
Come on.
Come on. It's hard. It's still 5 times better than Mud's Women. Good night.
We'll see you next time for Balance of Terror.
That might be a metal episode.
Thanks for listening to Podcast Them Down. You can find Burning Shadows, ISENMOR, and recently vacated Graves on Bandcamp, as well as Facebook, along with Fade to Black Metallica Tribute and Podcast Them Down itself. Until next time, keep it metal.
The menagerie will come, and we will score it, and we'll put it on trial. But it will be a very different sort of episode.
Yeah. Yeah, I agreed. We got to do it right because it is actually kind of an interesting episode.
Yeah, it's a lot better than I thought it would be, than I had remembered. It actually ages well, but is also awful.
Yeah,
this mic is too good.
All right. Have you tried the Boom Chick popcorn? Because that's a spicy meatball of popcorn.
Can you hear all the sounds I'm making or no?
No.
Really? That's a shame.
I mean, now I can.
Yeah. This sounds great on my end. All right. Let me just get ready.
I think you need to be closer to the mic. You need to be closer to the mic for the crunch.
Oh no, it's blowing up in my ears.